What does the term invisible handcuffs really mean, and how can the women rescued in this case recover from what they've experienced? Alan Hilfer is the chief psychologist at the Maimonides Medical Center, and he joins us live via Skype from New York. Thank you for joining us very much indeed. My first question is, what kind of mood will these women likely be in once they are released? And then can you talk us through the moods that they will be in subsequently?
My guess is that they will go through a period of euphoria in which they will feel that a situation that has been utterly intolerable for them is now over. On the other hand, they will be entering a society and a world that they are grossly unfamiliar with, and it will most likely be quite overwhelming and frightening and at times very intimidating for them.
The world that they seem to have left back in 1983, if that is indeed when the police are saying that they were last free, would have been a very different world. And if you bear with me, I'd like to just talk us through what the world was like just 30 years ago, then in 1983. Well, for example, in the UK, the Prime Minister was Margaret Thatcher, and she won re-election in a landslide that year. Prince Charles and Princess Diana toured Australia and New Zealand with baby Prince William. Berlin was still divided by the wall as the Cold War raged on, and the first mass-market mobile cell phones hit the market, and they looked that big. So the question is, how can modern-day slavery happen in a city like London? And what we're hearing about here, Sarah, is that really the psychological controls mean that it can happen anywhere.
I'm afraid that's true. And when people are held without the ability to communicate with the outside world, or when they are intimidated with either physical or psychological threats, and they aren't aware of any means to either escape or communicate, they become completely isolated, and in fact, really are removed from everyday existence and often enter a situation or a state of almost numbness and a lack of awareness of what's going on, kind of going through the motions and living life for the moment without much hope or thoughts of the future. And these women are very likely to have experienced a pretty high level of trauma that was experienced by them over a considerable amount of time. 3 decades is almost unthinkable in today's society.
Yeah.
And the idea that they kept hidden and kept away from everyday life is overwhelming for those of us who give who are given to think anything about how this can possibly affect people living in isolation in any cosmopolitan city. It's just almost unthinkable.
And yet they seem to have seen a television program which prompted at least one of them to make that crucial phone call which led to their rescue. So in a sense, they may know of something that goes on in our world. And I'm just wondering, when it comes to moving forward, anonymity, how crucial a part will that play in their recovery? Or would it be suggest or advisable that they actually take control of the huge media interest down the line that is in these 3 women and give interviews, control it, as it were, take charge?
I would hope that the media and the public will respect to some extent the privacy of these women. I think they've been through traumatic experiences. To reintroduce them into society is going to be very difficult, and it's going to need to be done with a great deal of support and assistance from outside agencies. It probably will best be evidenced by a shyness on their part and a certain insecurity on their part. I don't know that they're going to be up to taking control, as you put it, but rather I'm hoping that they will be able to be somewhat protected from what will be a large number of people who are very curious and, very concerned about them and perhaps very well-meaning. But these women have been isolated for 30 years, and the idea of being in front of the kinds of media that they will be subject to might be overwhelming. we've had a situation here in the United States where 3 women were held captive, coincidentally, and there's been an attempt to shield these women from a great deal of public scrutiny and allow them to emerge gradually and to talk about their experiences when they're ready, which has been, down the line a few months, in fact. And I would hope that we will be able to give them the emotional support, the counseling that they're going to need, and certainly the physical assistance that they will desperately need. These women have been in a situation that is, largely unknown to most of us in the civilized world, and will need a tremendous amount of help and assistance to begin to re-emerge into society again. It will take a while.